like which rights do women not have equal access to?
About to say abortion.
I am.
Just let.
Bodily autonomy.
Okay, cool. What besides that?
Nothing.
I think bodily autonomy is a pretty important one. So.
Okay, sure. Anything else though?
That they're not equal?
The statement is women have equal rights to men in the USA. So aside from
bodily autonomy.
Aside from that, is there any other right?
No, I don't think so.
Just that one?
Mm-hmm.
Maria?
That's all I could think of right now.
Abortion. Okay. I'm still waiting on Amanda here, but so I'll go ahead and dive into that. How would that be evidenced? Because when we're talking about equal rights, that would indicate like a man has a right that a woman doesn't, right? When it comes to abortion, men have no reproductive rights whatsoever. And so wouldn't it actually be equality to actually completely walk back women's rights to abortion? That would create equal rights.
I'm sorry, no. So men don't have to carry a fetus.
Neither do
right.
women.
Okay. Well, hold on. No. Hold. I want to engage with you on that.
Okay.
So men don't have to carry a fetus, but what does that have to do equal rights? That has to do with comparisons between men and women.
Okay.
Right. So men don't have any reproductive rights.
So
where's the
second point,
where's the inequality? Okay, go ahead.
My second point is men, when they want to get a vasectomy, that's an easy doctor's visit. They get pain meds. They get told to stay off their feet for like 3 days. They can get a vasectomy, no worries. But if a woman wants to get their tubes tied to prevent the same thing, and because they don't want to have kids, they have to go through a bunch of like hoops to jump through. They have to, depending on what state you're in and depending on what doctor you have and insurance.
Yeah. So can I respond, or do you have more?
I was going to say that the requirements for that are you have to be married. You have to have at least 3 kids, give or take.
This is completely just factually untrue.
That's very true.
Is there a law?
It's not law. It's not law.
It's not
So
law.
it's up to the doctor's individual.
If you go to a doctor.
So you're saying all doctors have this mandatory, you need to have had 3 children and you need to be married?
I'm just saying it's a very heavy bias. Mm-hmm. So it's not, that's why.
It's fake news, but okay.
It's fake news. You want to tell the many women who were denied getting their tubes tied?
Sure.
You want to tell the many women who got refused to get their uterus taken out because of endometriosis?
It's a lot of private doctors that would do it.
Hold on. But you're saying, you're putting forth, you're putting forth like a position where you're saying essentially all these doctors, the requirement is the woman has to have had 3 children and be married.
Sometimes they even have to have the husband sign off on it too.
Yeah.
While perhaps it could be the case that there is anecdotal evidence that this has occurred, this certainly isn't widespread. And you would have to like pull these OBGYNs or whatever the doctor is that does this procedure. You'd have to like actually provide evidence that this is a widespread practice and like some sort of like, and I don't think the medical literature indicates that that's the requirement to get a hit.
You mean the medical literature that literally hasn't tested women's period products for actual blood until last year? You mean the same medical system that derived off of men and thought that women were mini men, even though they have completely different organs, different functions, different hormones?
To
You're
your
talking
point,
about the same medical
I'll address
system?
your hysterectomy thing.
Yeah, the same one.
It's not hysterectomy. That's 2 different things.
Cool.
Or what was it?
Yeah,
it was
tied.
Tubes tied.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Hysterectomy is usually a medical thing that's
I
necessary.
misspoke. I meant getting
removing
your. I meant getting your. I meant getting your tubes tied. So okay.
Actually, I'm happy to engage with this.
Yeah. So one of the differences that immediately comes to me is that it's a much more invasive procedure to get your tubes. It is to get your tubes tied. I don't know if you want to be another science denier. It is medically more invasive to get your tubes tied. getting the what's it called? Sorry, I'm blanking on
So
it.
a voluntary procedure.
The vasectomy,
right,
you're like in and out in 15 minutes.
You can also
Okay,
get it
so that's a
reversed
privilege
most of
that
the
men have?
time.
That's just the kind
Because
of the
point
nature.
is like they're making sure that you are set in it, because vasectomy can most times be reversed, whereas getting your tubes tied can be reversed, but like if you get them cut or anything like that, it's a permanent decision. So his point is like the medical staff is just making sure that you are completely sure in your decision, because it's a lot easier to get a vasectomy than it is to get your tubes tied.
Well,
Yes, both are still voluntary procedures, though. So
but,
why?
but let me give you.
I was just saying what he was
perhaps
saying. Yeah, no, I
a
know.
good
I appreciate
to
it.
piggyback off Kiko. She makes a good point. In spite of herself, she didn't even mean to make this point.
No, I know
though
what I
it's
was
really
saying.
good. Even though it's really good. What does first do no harm mean?
Do no harm.
First do no harm. That's what every doctor operates under. The idea of first do no harm.
Yeah.
Let me give you the argument, and then you can respond. Okay? So my argument would just be this, that if that is the case, right, that you take in the Hippocratic Oath, which came from Hippocrates, right, and he says, hey, first, you should always do no harm. If it is the case that a doctor, let's say, was performing women getting their tubes tied at like 22 for these women, and then would see them at 27 going, I regret this is awful, this sucks, this is horrible, and he had that experience over and over and over and over and over, doesn't it stand to reason that that same doctor would say, okay, this is doing harm?
Did that actually happen, though?
It does.
Yes.
Not only does it happen, but men are coached too when they get a vasectomy, especially if they go in young. You probably don't want to do this, and you should wait, and you should wait for an elongated period of time. But the difference is that men aren't going back to the doctor, right, and saying, please undo this. Women are going back to the doctor and saying, please undo this, or I have regrets, or it's causing me mental health issues, this and that. If it were the case that you're a doctor, and this is being reported to you by most of your female patients who you do this on when they're young, and your oath is to not do any harm, at what point would you think you were doing harm?
Okay, well, what about the women that you're turning away from getting these procedures and they have severe endometriosis or ovarian cysts, or if they get pregnant, it can be detrimental?
Women aren't getting turned away for that.
Wait, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. So you're saying that these doctors who are continuously consulting with their female patients and checking on them and making sure that they're ready, couldn't we almost reverse this argument and say that this is actually evidence, like, oh, the men, go ahead, sterilize yourself, but the doctors give a bit more care when it comes to the women?
You could say that it's care, but oftentimes I believe it causes more harm. My friend's mom had endometriosis and got pregnant in a very, dangerous time to get pregnant, and luckily everything was fine. But if something bad had happened, she wasn't able to get hysterectomy until after.
We're moving off the topic here. The topic originally was about